Hello everybody, my name is Craig Bennett and I'm the founder and owner of TechViewsNope, and today I'm going to show you how to open up and edit in command prompt. I've gotten quite a few questions on the command prompt that I have because it looks a little bit different than what you might have. I'm going to show you how to edit the colors and how to do a few basic things like look at the drive, look at IP configuration, ARP tables, things like that. So I'm not going to get too heavy and much else. But as far as things goes, this is going to show you how to open up the command prompt in case you've never done it before, and how to edit the colors. So when you play in command prompt, or what I call CMD, when you play within CMD, you have some atmosphere that you like. But anyways, before I jump into that, let's go into some quick personal advertisement. This will include how you can help support my channel, and that way I can help make it grow into something a bit more than I could do on my own. Thanks for sticking around during this transition. Now, if you want to help me out at all, either by financial or other means, then feel free to click the Patreon button to go to my Patreon campaign, and that way you can donate there and check out what I plan to do with money. Or you can click the PayPal button and you can donate there. You can either donate one time there or do a monthly reoccurrence. And lastly, if you don't want to help out with money, either because you just don't have it or whatever it is, then feel free to share this video and share my other videos, and please check out the top button to go to my main channel. But anyways, hope that you like this video, and let's bring it back to the actual video. So how do you open up command prompt? Well, it's pretty simple. What you need to do is go in Windows 8, Windows 8.1, start menu, open up search and look up CMD, and hold up on there, and I'll explain a little bit more in a second what to do in case you want to run as administrator. But in Windows 10, I played with that. They don't have a chart menu, at least I didn't see it. There might be a setting for it. I didn't get too deep into it. But in Windows 10 and also previous versions before Windows 8, you need to go down to the start button, go to the toolbar area down below, click on the start button. Yours might look a little bit different from mine. And if yours doesn't have a search function, it might have a run function over to the right side. Click on that, type in, when you click on it, run should come up, and type in cmd.exe and click run, and the command prompt should come up. If it doesn't, search for it in all programs. So for the rest of us that does have the search function, we'll just type in cmd. We can right click it to go to administrator. So if in any case how you go to it, you just right click it, go to the run as administrator if you want to do that. If your functions don't require that, which mine won't today, and whatever, I will just click open. Now keep in mind, if you run as administrator and you put in the wrong thing, either that you messed up or you didn't know what you're doing, you can really mess up your computer to the point that you can't reverse your decision. So keep that in mind. Know what you're doing. Be diligent with what you're doing, and just keep all that stuff in mind. So let's open up, and yours might look a little bit different from mine. And to fix that, click on this top left area, left click. You go down to properties. You might think going down to properties here would be just as fine, and no, it won't. It will basically, and I'm not really sure what's the lag about, but it will basically be this, which is pointless. So we need to click this, and by the way, most programs have this little thing here. If you double click it, it'll close it. Go to properties, and then you have the color. You probably on option, then you go to color. This area right here is representing this. I never seen the pop up, so I won't focus on that at all. I've been around this for years and years and years, never seen it pop up. At least I don't think I have. You got screen background, so let's change that real quick. And then we have the screen text. So let's change the screen text. So we got yellow now. I think yours is gray. It should look something like this. But I prefer to have a black background and green text. It looks cooler and it's easier on my eyes. One thing I want to note real quick is this might be outdated or whatever, but talking to people who make night vision for the military, for the United States military, and we're talking about not the manufacturing people but the engineers, they told me that the human eye, it sees green better than any other color on the spectrum, and that's why night vision for the most part is green. Is the human eye can see the different versions of green easier, and it could distinguish green over everything else more so. Now, if that's true, I don't know, but I know for a fact this is a lot easier than a gray text. So do whatever you want for the color. Make yours look however you want. You can probably even do, I think we can even do a cyan, which kind of looks cool. Kind of matches the background, but I prefer green. So, what are some simple commands that can help you now that you got command prompt up and you got it looking like you want? Keep in mind, one thing I will mention is if a application of some type opens up command prompt, it might go back to the gray text for a split second. Not in what you're working in, but it's command prompt that it pulls up. And I've seen that a few times. You need to, like, if you're making a batch file, I've seen it where if you're making a shortcut batch file, open it up, it will actually pull up the gray, the default version. What you need to do is, if you're making a batch file, just put a pause command in there, then open it up, and then you can change the color, and it should stay that color from there on out. So that's something to keep in mind. But let's say you got it up. What can you do? How can this help you? And by the way, these act independently. So that's a huge thing to keep in mind, because what happens is these you can have multiple of these pinging out. And by the way, let's do this number. And as far as this goes, and the freezing in the background, I think it's rain meter. I think I just need to restart my computer and be back to normal. I use it as a security camera system, hub for my security cameras. So once a while I got to restart my computer. I'm working on a home server, and I will actually make a video on how to make a home server with a Windows 8 computer, because most people can't afford an actual server. So, but back on this, for this, let's do a simple ping out. Ping 192.168.1.1. This is an internal IP address to my router. Let's do a ipconfig. Let's start this ping, start this, and as you see here, it works independently. So you'll see this a lot in network troubleshooting. So for this, let's take a look at this real quick. Our IPv6 address is this long jumbled up mess. I'm not going to get too much into this right now, but our IP address, our internal IP address for our computer on our network. Keep in mind, this is not our internet IP address. This is our internal IP address. So if we are, if we're troubleshooting our network or troubleshooting our computer, we can go and type in 192.168.1 0.9 on my network. If I have the remote settings set up right and everything else set up right, then I can get in through typing that IP address into a browser and get in. Whereas on probably any network, on any home network, you should have something either 192.168.1.1, which is most likely, or 0.1. And if you type that in, if it's not modified, then you can actually log into your router and do maintenance on it if need to be. So we got our IPv6 address, which we care or don't care. We got our and the reason why we don't use IPv6 in home is it's overkill by far. We have our IPv4 address, which is here, our subnet mask, which is here, and then our gateway. If you're trying to connect to the internet through a wireless access and you're not able to get on the internet, one thing to check is the subnet mask and the default gateway. If those are off, if this down here, the default gateway, the IPv4, you're probably not going to know the IPv6, but if the IPv4 is off, then you're not able to get in. If your computer uses IPv6 to get in, you need the IPv6 address. If the subnet mask is off, you're also going to have problems. So that's something to keep in mind. So as far as some other things, let's look into directory, how to figure out what files is in your thing. So let's change our sub directory. Basically, if we put dir, it shows all the files and everything within the pretty much C drive. It's system32, but we don't care about that. So I want to do a particular one, CMD. You need to know the link to it. So the easiest way is just know the link, paste it in. If you do a Control-V, you're going to get this little deal. So just do that. And basically what this will do is this will go to the, let's start this up. It goes to the C drive users folder, the subfolder, which the my folder. Then a subfolder of that will be the documents, and the subfolder, which is the final one, is the Camtasia. So let's do another dir, and this shows, as you see here, the let's try to go to the top. We got the name. So for example, right here, let's see if I can wind this up. I can't. We got our name, try to find something short. So hack this, main levels 110. So I know the name of the file. So if I went in there right now and looked for this, in fact, let's do that. As we see there, and so we got that. We have, try to find something a little bit easier to. We go on some of this dot wave, and real quick, you can figure out what's a folder and what's not by this. If it has these numbers, which is the size, then if it doesn't have it, then you're looking at a folder. So for example, this hack this main levels, we have the wherever it was a folder where, let's take a look at something, D wave right here. So we got D wave, so wave file, as you see there, and we got the size and everything else. So taking a look at that again. Again, you can run a little bit of problems trying to find it, but it is alphabetical. So you can match up that everything's correct. And unfortunately, I can't highlight it, so I keep losing it. But anyways, as we can see here, the last modified date is November 14th, 2011, 8:36 p.m. And right here we have last modified November 14th, 2014, 8:36 p.m. So that's also a way to identify what you have in here. So it's pretty good. It's a pretty good way to figure it out. And this, as you might notice, that this is showing the bytes. So you have to keep in mind on how much is a megabyte and kilobyte. The megabytes is, think of this as 100,000 million. So we got 8 million, so 8 megabytes. So we got 8.6 or 8.2. Sorry about that. And then if we didn't have that, then it'd be 600 kilobytes and so on. So that's a way you can figure out some of this stuff. Try to look at the ending. It looks like it's kilobytes. And yeah, as you see here, the ending is a kilobyte, so 317 kilobytes or 309 kilobytes, but it's showing 317 up here. A little bit of math going into it. It's quicker just to look at what a computer spits out. So anyways, as far as that goes, that's a good way to figure out what files you have within a given area. And you can modify, you can delete files from CMD, you can edit the name, you can do a bunch of things within CMD. That's how we used to have to do it back in the day, and how some people do it today. It's at some points it's actually the only way. I have a video on how to delete what I call ghost folders. For some reason, there's folders sometimes on your computer, and Camtasia is famous for this for whatever reason. But for whatever reason, sometimes there's folders that you can delete everything inside of it, but when you try to delete the folder itself, it won't let you. There's nothing in it, it's not taking up any space, but it's there and it's annoying. So I have a video on how to actually get rid of it. It kind of hides it, but it gets rid of it. So now last but not least, let's pull up the ARP table. Some of this is going to be blocked out, so keep that in mind. So in case if you don't know how to do something, some of these commands you can put like ARP and it'll give you a list of commands. So for example, if I want to display the ARP table, I can put ARP space -sign A, and it displays the table. Same thing with -sign G, same as that, and so on. I mean, you can read it yourself, and in fact, you can do it on your own stuff. So ARP, and this shows the MAC addresses on your network that your computer knows or thinks it knows. So for example, on my router, let's look at that real quick. It says my router's IP address. So in order to know what device you're looking at, you need to know its IP address, which is very, very important. In other words, this ain't gonna work. But you look at the IP address, and so I know my router's is 192.168.1.1, and from there I can see the physical address. The physical address is the MAC address. I'm not going to be showing that for obvious reasons, because each device in the world should have its own MAC address. I don't believe that's true, but theoretically it should be. And unfortunately, if you mess around, if you're a hacker, you can spoof a MAC address in, say, the FBI or whatever government agency. They'll think it's this device, they'll link it back and say, you just hacked into us. So someone would say, hey, we saw your router MAC address, and they can use that as evidence without going any further. Keep in mind, most agencies, while their job is to protect and whatever, their real job is actually put people behind jail. They make money by putting people behind jail, so they won't pursue it if it's too easy at times, unless you got a good one, which happens. So keep that in mind. You need to keep the MAC address private to you and only you and your network administrator. Anyone outside, they don't need to know it. So it's very, very important for security reasons. Keep it to yourself. Very important. These internal IP addresses, they don't matter too much because most people have these internal IP addresses. I can guarantee you your device has a 90-some-odd% chance of having 192.168.1.1 as its IP address. I can give you about 90% chance that your router, wireless router, has that for its MAC address or its IP address. Some of these others, these are associated given by the router, so I can say this is this device, and if it's not static, then it will change over time. So you know that your router does the same thing. It gives IP addresses as needed. Now, what won't show up on an ARP table if your computer has not communicated with it? If the device first connect, if in fact you restart your computer, your ARP table, I believe it clears itself. I don't really deal too much into network security and network, but the ARP table should clear itself whenever you restart your computer. I'm not guaranteeing you that though, but what you shouldn't see in the ARP table is if something originally attaches to the router, then it shouldn't send out a broadcast. Basically what happens is say for example I want to send something out to the internet. It sends a or say I want to communicate with another device on the network. It sends out a and it doesn't know the IP address or the and some routers it stores the MAC and associates it with the IP address, so it goes from there and that's it. But 99% of routers out there, they don't do that because they're expensive. So what happens is, say I want to communicate with 192.168.1.3. My for whatever reason, say it's my secondary computer, hypothetically, I want to send some pictures over that through my internal systems, so I don't have to go to the web, download it, and whatever. I could just sync it over and get it done with. Or say if it's my TV and I want to stream video to it, what will happen is my computer will call out to 192.168.1.3 and it will try to find it. You'll then associate the MAC address and since it's a broadcast, what will happen is, say 192.168.1.4.5 and so on and so on, it will see the broadcast and say, no, I'm not this, but it will register my computer 192.168.1.9 on its ARP table. It will have the IP address and the MAC address, and what will happen is that's where it's stored on the ARP thing. But for the when my computer's sending out, if it gets a positive signal, then it'll store the thing, IP address and the MAC address on my computer. I probably butchered that to a bit. I know it wasn't clear, but I do have a video on ARP poisoning. If you're curious about ARP tables, if you're curious about this, if you're curious about hacking ARP tables, which is totally possible, basically making it where you can actually send it out by poisoning the ARP system. Send it out where say you got a router, a computer, and basically what you do is you poison the system to make the computer think a hacker's computer is the router, and make the router think the hacker's computer is the actual computer. And that means anything going through, it will go through the hacker's computer, going out to the internet. Anything coming back, it'll go through the hacker's computer, going back to the regular computer. And that way the person on both ends, they won't know the difference. But the hacker can play a man in the middle and copy the data. That is an actual technique, and it's actually pretty cool. It's virtually impossible to tell. On some systems you'll find where detectors, but most systems, most places, you can't figure that one out. So you can't figure out if someone's doing that because it's very expensive. NSA has systems in place, CIA has systems in place. I'm pretty sure FBI has it. Maybe some metropolitan cop stations have it, but anything other than that, anything lower end, the lower budget you're going to get, the less chance that they're going to have something like that. So it's pretty important to know this, because if you're going into security, or if you're going to put your sensitive information out, or play with it when you're on a public Wi-Fi, someone can do an ARP attack, basically what's called an ARP poisoning, and they can play a man-in-the-middle attack. Again, I have a video on how that is done in practicality and everything, and it shows examples of that in a simulator. But anyways, that's pretty much about it. There's other commands out there that's useful, but I think the ping, so say for example, press up to go to the previous command that you typed, and ping is pretty good, so I can see if I'm connected to the router, or if say for example, if I'm setting up an IP camera on my system, since my computer is connected to the wireless, can my computer see the IP camera? If it can see the IP camera, then my computer, it knows that the camera is hooked up to the wireless network. In other words, I have to do some modifications so the camera actually can get to the wireless network. That's a pretty good troubleshooting method. ARP table is also pretty good. You ain't gonna see too much of that in troubleshooting. The drive, you're gonna see a little bit of that, but ipconfig, again, it's ipconfig, and it shows your IP address, internal IP address. You're gonna see that a lot in troubleshooting your network. This is obviously network-based stuff, other than the drive, the DIR. Other than that, it's you're looking at network stuff that I just explained. But those are the things I feel that the average person will gain the most from. But anyways, this has been Craig Bennett, the founder and owner of TechView.Snope, and I hope that you liked this video. And I know it's been a little bit longer than I planned, but it took no time to explain how to open this stuff up. But I just want to be clear on some of these things in case you have to troubleshoot your own network. And feel free to check out my other videos. I do, again, have a video on ARP poisoning. I have a video on how to create a virtual network with command prompt. I have videos how to use command prompt in some advanced and cool ways. So check out some of my videos on that. And if you do run into any problems on this particular thing, on a particular video, comment on that video so I can help you out as best as possible, because sometimes I have to reference the video itself to know what you're talking about. But for the most part, if you got any problems with opening up command prompt and some super general things that I don't cover in videos, feel free to leave that in the comment section, and I'll try to help you out as quickly as possible. But anyways, it's been Craig Bennett, founder and owner of TechView.Snope, and please like, please subscribe, please share. Please leave comments below. Please leave topics and tips below, and please feel free to check out my Patreon page. Hope you have a great day.